What's your favorite song right now?
Your favorite song?
Yours.
Your favorite song?
Oh, my favorite song. Oh my God. No, it's not like that one is in my mind.
Thank you.
Guys, give it up for Team Musica. Thank you guys for being here. This is a little thing we do. You guys are our last interview of like 30. So this is we saved the best for last.
Obviously.
I truly love this movie. It is
Thank you so much.
It is such a delight. I was saying it feels like such a fresh, unique twist on the musical, the way these sort of like scenes break out around you guys. I just watched it with a huge smile on my face. I must say, I think you'd have to be like made out of stone not to. It's just such a beautiful, life-affirming, funny, great music. It's the whole package.
Let's
guys.
not alienate those made out of. If you're made out of stone, watch the film, you'll love it.
Or felt. Like a shout out to Diego. It's couldn't be here today, but we'll get him next time. As the trailer teases, I think it says it's true-ish. The film itself says based on a true story, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
So Rudy, can you elaborate on that? Well, first tell us how you describe the story, and then tell us like how autobiographical this is.
Pretty damn autobiographical. I
Yeah.
want to say like 95% of the film is authentic to my life and experiences.
Wow.
I'd say it's about a young guy with synesthesia who tries his best to balance all aspects of his life: culture, family, relationships, romance, work, school, in the heart of Newark, New Jersey, through this synesthetic musical lens. So an unconventional coming of age, if you will, or a non-musical musical. There's really no way to describe this that makes sense.
Yeah. I like non-musical musical.
Okay,
That's good.
We'll go with
That's
that.
good. That's good.
Cut everything else out.
That's good. So you said 95% true. Like where did you find you needed to embellish a little bit?
Well, everything's based on some kind of truth. There are some moments that are exaggerated and hyperbolized for the sake of just being tighter or more entertaining. But everything from the locations where it was shot, we weren't just shooting on location, but in the actual places where the story takes place. Like my mother's home. That's the house I grew up in, and we got to shoot there.
Wow.
Newark, New Jersey as the backdrop, the Ironbound, the city streets, the fish market, the restaurant, all real places that I spent a great deal of my childhood frequenting. And I didn't want to give away any moments, but there's a moment or two that were more, lended itself a little bit more to a scripted version, but it was based on some truth. But my mom is here and she plays my own mom.
Yes.
So that's not based on the truth. That's just the truth.
That's just the truth. Yeah, it's pretty spot on casting. I think you nailed it. Great casting. You're great in this movie. How did you respond? The first time you heard about the concept that Rudy was telling such a true story about your lives.
I like very much because my first experience in making a movie. So I say it's gonna
Mine
be.
too.
Yeah, you too, right? Yeah, but you did a lot of videos, right? Together. But I say always, he say you're gonna be more like yourself, Mom. You're gonna say, oh, that's great, because every time you got the script, scary, right? All this page, and say, oh, no, I'm gonna do. But then when I look at the script, say, hey, this is me. Talk to Rudy. All my life was easy. Make it easy, and was amazing. I love to do it.
Yeah.
Because it was true and natural, and bring Brazil to Brazil culture for the people who lives here. A lot of Brazilians living here in this country now, and everybody's very happy to see the first Brazilian American movie made in America. So I'm so proud.
Yeah, especially in Newark, right? Because when you live in New York City, it's like a rite of passage. You have to go to Newark at some point for Brazilian food.
Yes.
You have to.
And now more than ever, Newark has a lot. I think I heard about 1 million Brazilians live in Newark.
What?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't even know there were a million people in Newark.
Oh, Newark, yeah, it's a big city.
Yeah, and Camila and Francesca, can you guys tease your characters and how they fit into the piece?
So we play both of Rudy's love interests. One old, one new.
Yes.
No, I play Isabella. She works at the fish market, and Rudy stumbles into the fish market and sets his eyes on her. And Fran plays.
And I play Haley, who's Rudy's
It's complicated.
It's complicated.
It's so complicated. His girlfriend, yes, his girlfriend.
Yeah.
And I'm your typical type A, OCD, organized, 5-year plan gal.
Yeah.
A
Rich
girl
girl.
on a mission.
Rich girl.
Who happens to also have money from her family.
And I'm like the Brazilian American sort of take on a girl next door, I guess.
Yeah.
Free spirit.
Yeah.
I'm like your super linear types.
Yeah. We're kind of like we represent different cultural ideologies, I think. Haley represents more of the American individualistic mentality. And I think Isabella represents more of that like family first, staying true to your roots.
Yeah. But also there's something very free about Isabella. She's like this free spirit. She's like, open your eyes to this world and everything that's around you. And Haley's a lot more like, I think if there was someone on fire next to her, she like wouldn't even know necessarily. Like she's very like, I have my path and my direction and that's what I have to stick towards. And it's a lot more rigid and structured and stressful, but likable.
Yes.
And I think that's really what both women represent. Actually, all three women represent are different versions of Rudy's future. When ultimately the only person who can make that decision is himself.
Yeah, very memorable meet cute between your two characters in a fish market where Isabella works, where you get smacked in the face with a huge fish. You wrote this. So, one, did that happen? And two, why did you decide to smack yourself in the face with
So
a fish?
that's one of those creative
One
liberties.
embellishment.
Yeah, I've never gotten smacked in the face with a fish.
Not yet.
Yeah, not yet.
Really? South by just started,
The fish market was
Ruin the surprise, Roy.
the fish market was such a memorable part of my childhood. Going in there when I was very young and seeing how chaotic it was and how, frankly, rhythmic and musical it all was. And of course the smell and it was just like such an odd, the least romantic place for to be caught in that love at first sight moment. So I kind of combined those two. And the slap in the face, I just I love getting slapped on screen.
By a fish.
By
a large fish.
Any animal, just throw it.
Yeah, and we got to shout out Diego again. I mean, tell us how he got involved. He's I think one of probably the most revered actors in the business, and you were able to.
I know we got him some. He couldn't be here. He's at AA, but he's fantastic, man. He steals the show. In fact, a note that was given from the studio was maybe we can get a little more Diego. And in reshoots, it was mostly about more conversations with the puppet. Yeah, the puppet Diego represents in a way Rudy's unfiltered consciousness.
He's a scene stealer. Great songs. They're very long, a lot of them. Some of them are at least a few words. By the way, the shit song, I think we can curse on this. It's unrated. Okay, sweet. That's going to be a hit. Like that. I know it seemed like it was in the making, but that's going to be a hit. I'm just telling you.
Look forward to it on the soundtrack. By the way, there's some additional songs by Diego, full-length songs on the soundtrack.
Bonus track.
Okay, nice. The bonus
See his
track.
eyes just glow up, Rudy.
Yeah.
Musica deluxe version.
Can you I can't recall the name of the condition. Synesthesia.
Synesthesia. Yeah.
Synesthesia. Can you talk a little bit more about your experience with that? Because it's one of those things that I don't think people are super familiar with, and like you do such a wonderful job portraying what it's like to live with, is sort of like a layman's response to it, especially because this movie is so entertaining. It's hard not to go, well, that seems cool, but like, what has been your experience like that? I mean, you've really you used it to manifest it into this really entertaining story, but I imagine it's probably also a little difficult.
Certainly so. Yeah. At its core, it's a neurological condition. May or may not have heard the word synesthesia. It actually took me a very long time to realize that there was a name for some of the experiences that I was having, and I didn't know it was diagnosable. But yeah, by definition, it's when one of your senses stimulates another one involuntarily, and there's kind of no end to it. And there's over 100 types of synesthesia and counting, and there's so much light to be shined on it, and so much more to be understood. It's ongoing, but Yeah, for me, there was a clear correlation between my type of synesthesia and music, and the way I interpret sounds, and the way I try to turn sounds into music involuntarily, sometimes obsessively. And although it can appear interesting, cool, romantic within the context of a film, it can also be very debilitating and unnerving and hindering. It quite literally gets in the way of my life and conversations and relationships, as you saw in a few moments of the film, especially the opening scene.
Yeah. I mean, how has it impacted your own career as, also making music?
Yeah, I mean, I'm lucky. I get to use it as an asset, as a creator.
Yeah.
It isn't as easy for other synesthetes who have this really sensitive sensory experiences and don't know how to transform it into something creative or aren't interested in pursuing anything creative and can't use it as an asset. I've been very lucky. It enhances what I do, which is compose and storytell and direct. But again, it definitely gets in the way sometimes. School was very hard, and conversations can be tricky. But I'm 32 now. I've learned how to cope with it.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, certainly in terms of, like I said, like manifesting into this these incredible scenes throughout the movie. I'd love to hear from you guys sort of what it was like to film those scenes, because you're essentially having sort of song and dance musicals play out around you that you're not involved with. It had to be a sort of a different type of experience on set.
You go first.
I mean, I feel like you have more to say on this than I do, because you were involved in the opening scene, which is very musical. All I had to do was sit there and watch him show me, this whole beautiful sequence of music in the park scene. So I really just got to stand there and look around and follow his hand and absorb it the way I was actually absorbing it on the day. But Fran had to interact with it a little bit more, you were more involved in having to follow the rhythm. And,
that's true. It was definitely I'm purely not, this isn't me being modest at all. I'm tone deaf. I'm absolutely tone deaf. If I sang pigeons would die out of the sky, it's brutal. So to then be put into a musical, non-musical, I was definitely a little intimidated. And then the day we did the opening scene, the diner scene, which is also what the short film was based off of, I was a nervous wreck, because I was all right, the acting just has to be on point, because there's so many other things going around. You don't want to be the person holding up that day if you're not memorized or if you're messing up. But and I am extremely confident and comfortable in comedy, but then there was an added element here where Rudy would be okay, now you're gonna speak on this melody. You're gonna, it's gonna be da 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 da. And I'd be what? And he'd be you're gonna say a line Rudy, can you hear me? Rudy, can you hear me? And same with the scene with my family when he comes to have dinner or lunch or.
I forgot about that one. Yeah. That one's a good one.
That one was tough too, because it was Rudy, me, and then these three other brilliant actors, and we're all trying to chime in on this rhythm. Mm-hmm. And they had, at one point we had the, what's it called?
Metronome?
Yep. The metronome. Right? Didn't we have to rehearse?
We rehearsed to a click, yep. And there was mostly non-musical people, but you'd be surprised how easy it is to tap into rhythm and get your ear to a musical place when guided.
It felt kind of, if you put it in the perspective of a game, one of those games where it's you're going in a circle and everyone just has to have an answer, it felt a lot less anxiety-inducing, but it was definitely one of the most challenging things I've ever had to do as a very non-musical person.
And we definitely spent a lot of time rehearsing pieces like that, and questions that were asked were, do we need to be rehearsing this when we can just achieve it and edit editorially? And my answer was always yes, because
without those rehearsals, those would have been a nightmare.
It's so much more interesting if we can actually perform the whole thing live. And we have options.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I couldn't help but think of the work of Lin-Manuel Miranda, Tick Tick Boom. I was feeling those vibes. Who were your sort of biggest influences in terms of directing this movie?
There's a long list. I think foremost Charlie Chaplin, just because if anyone wore multiple hats that extensively, it was Chaplin. He would write, direct, compose, choreograph, and physically cut his films and act in and score. So that's someone who showed me that it is possible to do all those things, to be a true one human band.
The editing on this is incredible, by the way. It's
cool.
So well done.
We worked with Melissa Kent, who's our editor. Yeah, she had to deal with my bullshit for months. Because every frame and every beat, every sound needed to be perfectly syncopated, or whatever doesn't work.
Yeah, and the way the scenes sort of transition into each other.
Yeah,
So
I love a
incredibly
good transition.
Yep. Great transitions. Maria, what was your favorite thing about working with your son in this film?
My favorite thing, everything, and the scene I had with him was great because I could read and be myself, because the most of the stuff I was talking to him in the movie is the conversation I had all my life, and tell him you should do this, you should do that, and then everything was so great. I like very much the part of the salon. Remember
The hair salon?
Yeah, the salon and the house too. When the girl was there, then I made the caipirinha. That was funny. Luana. Yeah.
The setup.
I like everything.
You know, one mishap that did occur was because we shot in my mom's actual home where she lives. She was forcing all the crew members to take off their shoes so they wouldn't scratch the floors and stuff. They ended up scratching the floors anyway. Actually, she's still actually really upset about it. And
No, I'm not anymore.
are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. No, it's okay. You can scratch again if you need to.
Some
Well,
great,
not much, but
some great supporting roles. JB Smoove is so good in this. He plays sort of this culturally adaptable food truck guy. How did he come into the picture?
Yeah, I mean, I love this idea of having a very unreliable friend, an unreliable voice of reason, and it could have gone in so many different directions of what kind of person and backstory this character could have had. But one thing was for certain: I needed somebody who was very willing and able to improv, and he was a dream for me. And then the dream came true when we met, and he said he read it and he loved the idea of the world turning into music and rhythm, because although he's not necessarily a musician, the cadences in his speech are so rhythmic. They have their own musicality to it. And I'm a big fan of his character on Curb, and when it comes to improv, he's a master. So we got to just have a lot of fun, and that we found the qualities of the character just by rehearsing. The nature of him adapting to being this cultural chameleon.
And then each time the subway performer, the other subway performer who's strumming away and singing away, each time he popped up, I'm like, where do I know him from? I've met this guy. It's Andy freaking Muschietti.
Yeah.
Director of the It movies and The Flash. You had some experience with The Flash.
Sure did.
Did you guys decide to trade roles in each other's movies? How did that come about?
Honestly, yes. We got very close during the pandemic. Now he's like family, him and Barbara and his whole family. And we live very close to each other. And for a few months, we hung out every single day. And one day he was just like, hey, I'm making this movie. It's called The Flash. Do you want to be in it for a little bit? And I was like, all right. And I was like, do you want to be in my movie for a little bit? And he was like, all right. So I was shadowing him on The Flash as a director, and I took a lot of those experiences and applied it to my own film.
Yeah.
And I think we're starting a Mancuso Muschietti verse.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. What did you take from that experience on The Flash that you applied to this one?
Obviously, it was so much bigger. Everything was bigger and longer, and the magnitude of that production was almost incomprehensible. But watching him command a set and how he navigated obstacles, and also some of the shooting styles were inspiring. He loves to be very rehearsed. He loves pre-lighting and pre-dressing the entire space so the camera can point every direction. And I didn't know that was possible until I saw it. And so I took some of those moments as inspiration. And we're all forever learning. That's the beauty of filmmaking and storytelling.
Well, South by seems like the perfect platform to launch this film because this festival celebrates not only film and television but also music. So we've been asking people further, and you guys are the crew of Música, so this is a great question for you. But some musical recommendations from you guys, like what's an act that you're really into right now that maybe not everybody knows, maybe is not a huge mainstream act, but who would you recommend right now?
These guys are the people to ask when it comes to new music.
Actor?
No,
Music.
musical act, like
Yes.
any.
Yes.
Oof.
They show me all the new music.
Yeah.
I just listen
Been
to
so
old.
bad with new music lately.
Mom,
I mean-
have you ever heard any new artists? What's your favorite song right now?
Your favorite song?
Yours.
Your favorite song?
Oh, my favorite song. Oh my God. No. No, it's not like that one is in my mind.
Thank you.
I mean, I don't know.
I can't
Yeah.
remember.
Or just tell us what you're listening to. It doesn't have to be new.
I love Caliucci's.
Okay.
Her new album, Orquídeas. How do you say orchids in Spanish? Orquídeas. I
Orquídea.
think. Yeah.
Just
Okay.
like this.
Yeah. Orquídeas?
Yeah.
Okay. I've been listening to that a lot. It's not that new, but I'm a big fan of her work.
As far as like mainstream movie, I've actually done a reverse. I've been going back into like more like a classical, like I found this jazz station that just feels like a lot of like Ella Fitzgerald, like very like, I don't know, vibey, and like classical music score. I'm that douchebag that's listening to score on her. I know, it's horrible. My most played song of the year was a Hans Zimmer song. Can you believe it?
Which one?
No, Time.
Most
It's the most played song ever. But, no, so I'm entering a very basic music phase, I think, where it's just easier to concentrate sometimes. But I'm also in a big Dua Lipa phase right now as well. I listened to her on the flight, and I was like, she's great.
Yeah, she's dropping
And
bangers.
she's stunning.
There's an Italian artist, actually duo that I discovered, Colapesce Di Martino, and it rocked my world when I was in Italy recently, and I overheard some Colapesce Di Martino, and that's probably as far as new artists go, that's been something I've been over listening. Mom, you got an answer?
Can I answer?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Thank you.
I think that's the perfect way to wrap.
You asked me a question.
Team Musica, give it up one more time for Team Musica. Thank you guys for being here. Big
Thank
congrats to you
you.
on the
Thank
film.
you.
Thank you for
premiere.
having us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.